All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Mark and Brian and myself, Kyle, here again. We are here to pick up where we left off. We will get through some of the 97 and 98 graded stuff, as well as I have a box of HGA returns, fresh with all custom labels. So I have not seen these yet. I am very excited about that. So we will get into that as well. Before we kick off, things going around the horn. Brian, you got anything on your mind today?
Not really. I mean, I guess business has picked up for some complete sets a little bit more recently, but that might just be because of tax returns. So hard to say there. But I've sold quite a bit of Star Wars in the last month-ish. Got a lot of orders. So
tax
I was worried for a while, but now it's picked up a little bit more.
Nice. What about on your side, Mark?
Yeah. I mean, I think I was telling you right before we joined the call, I've got my not complete set of Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight foils. So here we've got, it's a little bit hard to see with the glare. Here's a PSA 5. I've got a 6. At some point in time, I had a 7. Got an 8 also, an 8, and then I have an 8.5 right here. I think I got this one from Cam.
The 8.5 is the money one.
Yeah, it's
8.5 is Pop 1.
Pop 1. Yeah, it probably is Pop 1.
That would be tough. Like, if you were seeking out an 8.5, I feel like that would be really tough.
Right.
Especially on PSA, since they don't, from what Mark said, they don't give a lot of
they don't
decimals.
Yeah, they like the integers. They're all about the integers.
I mean, we've seen a lot of cards come back and people showing them off and stuff, and either they're 9 or they're 8. It's incredibly rare to get an 8.5, much less seek it out. So,
I didn't know that you could even do it before Mark told me last time, so
yeah,
I didn't know it existed.
Yeah, it seems really batchy. I had one batch, I got like 3 or 4 of them, but apart from that, hardly ever. So maybe they were just in an indecisive mood that day.
You got one of those guys that were like really, really anal about the condition, the rating. So if he couldn't pick one or the other, he's just like, you know what? This one
we'll
right
just
here.
Go in the middle.
Just
halfway.
Go in the middle. Yeah, I would imagine that's when like the final graders, like one's like, no, it's a 9. The other's like, no, it's an 8. And they're like, all right, fine, I guess give up. But I would imagine getting a 10 foil would be very difficult as well. More difficult than probably the regular card. Just because of I'm trying to remember offhand how much foiling there is on that card.
Well, especially now in the days when it's so expensive to open up those, you're probably never going to get a pack fresh Luke, let alone one that's like really well centered. I can imagine it'd be really difficult to get a 10.
Because those came out of Reflections 2, right?
Yeah, which you rarely see for like less. You rarely see boxes, and then packs are always like, what, $80 or maybe more now? So
yeah, they're listed for more. I did pick up a whole bunch of Reflections 2 boosters with the intention to open on the channel, so maybe I'll get one.
Yeah, I mean, and then the trick is not only having to get one, which is extremely hard, but get one that's like got the right centering too, you know.
I think you're right. I mean, going back to our previous conversations, like if I had a Reflections 2 box, like I wouldn't open it. Like they're really hard to come across.
Reflections 2 is one of I think it's probably one of the 2 most rare boxes.
I don't have one. That's like one of the boxes I'm missing.
Yeah. It was one of the last 4 I needed to. That and the Unlimited Premier Starter Decks, I think, are the 2 hardest sealed boxes to get a hold of. And you probably think that sounds strange, like Premier Starter Deck? White border? But yeah.
No,
I mean,
I picked mine up a while ago. I don't know. Somebody was selling it. I got it. Nobody cared at the moment. Like, but
they come up so rarely that if you see one, like, jump on it. Like, don't try to, like, I tried to negotiate the first time I saw one pop up, and the guy wanted 300, and I tried to negotiate and get it for 250, even though I would have paid the 300. I was just, I think they knew how rare it was. And then Andy came along and just bought it for 3. He's just like, yeah, he's like, I'll buy it. I was like, all right. And then like a year and a half later, I finally randomly luckily found mine. So yeah.
Andy's sneaking in. Andy sends me messages. He's like, hey, there's somebody in Japan selling more Japanese Premier packs.
I don't even look at those. I used to check those every day, but now I'm just like, somebody else is going to get it for, instead of me. So I'm just like, don't even bother looking.
I have a lot of boxes from Japan, and I have to tell you, this will keep me content busy for a very long time. For all those people that love the Japanese premiere videos, I'm not running out anytime soon. So, sweet Jesus. For better or for worse, I might be going.
Look how excited Mark is. Look at the look on his face. He's just like, yeah. He's like, why couldn't that be special edition instead?
Yeah, I get that soft pedicure.
I like special edition. I like special edition and like Tatooine, and like I wouldn't mind opening a few of those. I have a stack of maybe 10 special edition boosters I could rip open.
Buy my box. There you go. Buy my box and crack it.
But again, like I'm not like a box ripper. I mean, I know that's the best way to get the best stuff, but I feel weird ripping the box.
Anybody who's watching these videos, buy my sealed stuff and then rip it. I need money, guys. Not as much as I did.
We'll talk. If you do end up ripping it, I mean, I get why people do it. Maybe I'll grab some packs. So we were picking up from last time. I thought there was some interesting chats we had in regards to, we covered like 1995 and 96. And I sent you guys the 97 and 98 sets. And I figured we could talk about some of the cards that, even just curiously, like the ones that are most graded are the ones that are appealing for most people, and maybe what's not being graded, and then like what's out there, because clearly there's some call outs in here, which some are obvious and some are a little less obvious, that people are grading and are shooting for the high stuff. So Cloud City. Anyways,
I feel like 2 of the more popular cards to grade, actually maybe 3 of the more popular cards to grade are probably in these 2 sets.
Yeah, I mean, so 232 cards graded with Cloud City through PSA. I mean, obviously there's some graded with BGS and HGA and SGC and all that stuff, but it's clear that most people are sending stuff to PSA So for the sake of this conversation, I think we get a good enough sample with what people have sent into PSA. It doesn't surprise me that, of all the sets, more people are grading stuff with Cloud City, because the sealed product is cheap and abundant, so it's easy to get a hold of. Packs and boxes are still reasonably priced, even now.
Got a top 5 character.
Yeah, I mean, my issue with Cloud City is like I have, maybe like 50 booster packs I could rip, but the question is, what do I do with all these cards that I get out of it? Because there's so many red cards in there that like
mystery packs.
Yeah, I know, it's like cliche, like throwing Cloud City and Jabba's Palace stuff together, in free packs. No surprise.
Sorry to interrupt though. I told you guys that all those sets have been being bought. Like I sold like 3 of the premiere of Death Star 2. I've also sold like total of Jabba's Palace and Cloud City, just rare set only in slight play condition. I probably sold like 7 or 8 in the past 2 weeks too, for like $50 each. So
wow.
You're talking about what you could do if you're just build some rare sets of Cloud City and Jabba's Palace and throw them on eBay for $50 a piece, and people will. I mean, that's $50 more than I had, So, no, I mean that just struck me. I was just like, oh yeah, I was like, that stuff's been selling, like those specifically. I don't know what it is.
Well, maybe it's definitely affordable, right? I mean, you can get the complete set still for Cloud City, like what, $75, like 70, 80 maybe, just depending on condition. Kind of ranges another $5, give or take, right? I mean, That's totally accessible. There's sealed product is totally accessible. And you have those key characters like Boba Fett, right? Who's somebody we're still seeing on screen, like to this day, right? So you have a character that's active, right? The Slave One.
Disney knew what it was doing.
Well, they knew they wanted to make money for sure. And getting Jon Favreau involved.
They're good at wanting that.
But Slave One, so there's 232 Cloud City cards graded total, right? 12 of them are 10s. There's 112 9s, 77 8s, 25 7s, right? So I only picked out some of the most graded cards here, which should be obvious to most people. But you have Slave One here. There's 17 graded. So there's no 10s, but there's 8 9s and 6 8s. So it seems pretty consistent with that. I'd love to see more Slave Ones in there. Lando Calrissian Dark Side, there's 13 graded, with 7 of them being 9. No 10s. Lando Calrissian Light Side, no 10s. There's 22 graded of him, but there's Yeah, no 10s, 15 9s. So 9 seem to be dishing out a PSA all the time. Boba Fett, however, I do see here there's 3 Boba Fett 10s with 79 total graded. That's really interesting. I mean, 33 9s, 26 8s. So buying a Boba Fett 9 should be pretty accessible and easy right now. Like, you could probably go on eBay right now and buy a Boba Fett PSA 9, right? But the PSA 10, I mean, that's the one that everybody wants, but that seems to be.
I feel like people would have just kept those though, unless somebody has multiples of them. That seems like one that people would want to have in their collection. Like, I wouldn't even necessarily say that I wouldn't think it'd be cool to have one in my collection. And I don't really collect that kind of stuff. So
yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, oh, well, how do you separate your Star Wars collection from like the bulk of others? And by doing that, you get something in a rarity and clarity that's, of such caliber.
That's why I started with South Pedican.
Gotta start somewhere.
Because I figured that I was the only person that had a graded South Pedican. But we'll find out soon in the pop report.
You know what? You could use Soft Pedican and share that for the Alien Challenge in May. So we're just gonna plug that right now. We have for the Star
Alien
Wars
Challenge
graded group,
guys.
I'm
also plugging that special edition box again, guys. Speaking of the Soft Pedican Challenge.
Well, there are plenty of aliens in the special edition set. Yes, so you have to present your slabs at some point in May, right, to qualify for aliens. So it's March now. So given the turnarounds, you're going to have to turn around stuff pretty quick to be eligible for
it.
But you can always buy stuff. Mark will definitely be on the lookout for Soft Pedican. So
I am definitely.
Pedican comes across his desk, he's going to say, you know what? I know the guys that want.
I'm just going to go grab all my near mint box and just start piecing through it to see if any of them are nicely centered.
I just had a note on the Cloud City set, if we go back to that, just about the number of Boba Fett's. I think if you're looking for a 9 in the wild, it's still maybe pretty hard. I suspect a lot of the 8s are probably, what people picked up on eBay and tried to grade. Whereas I think a set like Cloud City, you could not expect, but you're likely to get a 9 fresh out of the pack. I do think it'll be interesting to see over time how that evolves, because you would think maybe it'll be really easy to get a 9 right now. But I feel like that kind of is the balance of people grading versus people trying to buy. And it could be very well one of those teeter-totters over time of, supply and demand.
That's true. I think if the people that buy Boba Fett 9 are probably not going to sell it unless they really have to. If you're going to buy that, you probably want it to be in your show-off collection, right? Whether it's for your office or just even a single piece of just a conversation thing, right? Unless they upgrade it, maybe, but you're probably right. I would say I've done some of the single buying on eBay is more or less an experiment, and they usually come back 7s and 8s. So it's definitely not something you would catch in the wild. It's not unheard of.
Yeah, you can get 9s. It's just you're far from guaranteed on any one purchase. If I buy on eBay, I'm probably expecting an 8, maybe 9.
But I think the question there is, it's basically coming down to when these cards were initially pulled. Do we trust that they were handled, with like a professional adult hands, or were they handled like a kid and then acknowledged as an adult, put in the proper adult storage, methods? But by then, the damage has already been done a little bit.
Well, also the thing is, back then, I think a lot of people, when they got their cards and they thought that the proper way to store a card was just to get the card out of the pack and put it in the binder page. And they thought that, and people, 10, probably even 10 years ago, probably thought that's how you kept your card, protected.
But that was popular in the 90s too.
Yeah. And now we've come to the point where we understand that a lot of times when you do that, your card will end up with surface wear on it because of just being stored in a binder page by, just for so many years. And now it's evolved to people putting cards in perfect fit and then putting it in backwards into regular sleeves. So the entire thing is completely sealed and airtight almost. So, and that's what people are doing now and putting stuff in, just immediately into a sleeve like that when they pull something good, which is the same when you watch football stuff, when they open football videos, they're just they're sleeving every card as they go. Whereas I don't think that was a big practice until maybe the last 5 years ish. People just thought,
it's a different era.
The people are like, it's mint. I put it in from pack to binder or pack to sleeve. It's mint.
Yeah,
and you get and you buy those cards, and the card's anything less than mint when you get it, and you're just like, oh,
pretty much my entire master set, except for some of the later sets, are all stored or were stored for decades in those,
the card stock was better quality too, though. I think
you mean back in the day or now?
Now I think that after Death Star 2, the card stock on the cards improved a lot. Whereas before Death Star 2, cards were just I have so many cards for the white border sets. I know that you were talking about some of the revised sets, and they're just it's almost impossible to have near real cards that might have a chance of getting a 10 because they pick up the tiniest of marks and scratches just so easily. Whereas cards Reflections 3, we'll say, for instance, I've got a lot of nice Reflections 3 cards. I feel but nobody wants 10s of those because they're, easier to get. People want a 10 of the cards that are really hard to get, like a Darth Vader or even Boba Fett, Boba Fett Bounty Hunter. When we get to pop on that, I'm guessing there's 20 10s. That's the number. I'll say there's 20 Boba Fett Bounty Hunter PSA 10s out there.
I'd like to get one of those. If anyone has a Boba Fett Bounty Hunter 10, feel free to reach out to me after.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong then.
I'd like you to be right.
Yeah, those are a lot easier because the card stock is just better.
Yeah, those cards. That card is particularly.
You're right, Mark. I take it back.
I don't know. Hey, that's a hot take. I like it.
I mean, again, the packs are so much more expensive that it's still, you got to consider that.
Yeah, but going back to what we were talking about, this just Cloud City in general. I mean, even Princess Leia, 32 of them have been graded. There's 4 10s of her. 14 9s, 13 8s. I mean, that's a pretty strong showing of 10s. Out of Princess Leia. Granted, again, this whole set is fairly accessible. You can still, the product is super abundant. So it doesn't surprise me that there were so many submissions for this set. The question is, do they graduate outside of Cloud City and take that to another level? Or do we just, we got our Boba Fett and Leia and Lando out of the cheapest set possible and we're good, Because the Boba Fett you're talking about, the Reflections 3 one, that's a harder card to come across. I don't think I realized, I think I had bought the complete sets for those, but then looking for that individual card, I'm like, holy crap, people sell these for a lot, And I was I guess it's a really cool card. It's powerful, but
play wise, a lot of people would want it for decks too. So
yeah, you got that both thing going because it's powerful and it's a main cool looking card.
One of those cards Palp, where you're the players and the collectors both want it. I did have one more point on Cloud City I wanted to make, is that also it's from probably the most iconic part of the most iconic movie from the Star Wars franchise. So I think that is also part of what bolsters its popularity. That's the part people remember Star Wars. It's probably one of the most Star Wars-y moments.
That's true. It's a very emotional segment of the movies, right? You have Leia and Han's love, and you have Luke, basically losing, finding out his father. It gets there's a lot of stuff going on. So
yeah, it's got a lot of that really nice.
More emotional attachment to that than a Jabba's palace or Dagobah to begin with.
Right, you have all the iconic fights, and then all the art on the cards, a lot of the red and blue, thematics of the whole good and evil stuff.
I was thinking that the Boba Fett, just in general, is one of the prettier cards there is in Star Wars. Just because the way the close up is, and you can see Slave 1 in the back. You can see almost a sunset sort of thing in the background.
Yeah, it's a pretty card. Captain Han Solo, last big card that's submitted for Cloud City, 31 submitted, 0 10s, 19 9s, 9 8s, and 3 7s. So no 10s in that category, but certainly an abundance with that. But by far, people submitting for Boba Fett. It doesn't surprise me. I'm sure we'll continue to see that number rise as long as there's steady Cloud City product available. All right, so moving on to Dagobah, a lot less submittals. We got 141 cards submitted to Dagobah, only 7 10s, 53 nines, 49 eights. And interestingly, like most of these cards actually, like in my mind, like when I'm thinking Dagobah, you're thinking like swamp creatures, like, like they all
Bounty
have nothing
hunters.
to do with that. They're all
Just
just
like the
bounty
real
hunters.
Dagobah. It's just a whole bunch of swamp and Yoda.
It's like, what could they actually put in the set? That's why they had to throw in like the bounty hunters, because you're just like, we have to have something to sell this product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not Asteroid Sanctuary. That's the most one graded here. It's Yoda. So 37 Yodas, but there's 0 10s, 12 9s, 18 8s. So the Yoda 10 is
34 Yodas were submitted by R. Fish.
But these are the non-foil ones. But yeah, I guess he probably has a lot of these too.
But Dagobah still, surprisingly, Dagobah has jumped up in price much more than Cloud City and Jabba's Palace. Like, I feel like over the last even year, because I still don't have a regular limited Dagobah box, and I've always seen it around 500, 600.
Are you talking about the sealed, the sealed box?
Now it's the sealed box.
Don't I have
and I was just like, they're like always listed, right? But now there's nothing shy listed of $800, $900. I'm like, what? I'm like, the box is not worth that much. Like, there's
I think my opinion of Dagobah is that it might be the worst quality of all the sets cardstock wise. Like legitimately just awful. That's why the price of it might have gone up more, because you can buy Dagobah and open up the packs and your cards just have they're just messed up. That's got to be why the prices went up and why we don't see any 10s on those. It's because the cardstock is just complete garbage. Like you could run your the top of your finger across it and scratch the card. It's just so bad.
I've seen the videos of people saying if you truly want a mint card out of there, you have to use gloves because it's so slimy, and greasy, of a card top, that the second you touch it with your hands, you've already ruined the
authentic Dagobah card from the
perfect
swamp.
Example of a set that you have to wipe off. Reflections 1, Dagobah, and White Border Dagobah are all 3 cards. The surfaces are just weird and you said, slimy, and you almost have to wipe off. Anytime I've ever sold Reflections 1 card to people, I hate it because I feel like I have to go through every card they buy and wipe them off so I don't send them off to people. People are like, this card is all messed up. When there's not messed up, it's it's probably out of the pack. It's got that film on it,
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 sets are easily the 3 worst sets, probably, I would say, to try and grade cards from. We'll see Reflections 1.
There is one Executor 10, right? So there's 26 that have been submitted. 6 are 9s, 10 are 8s, 7 are 7s. So even those don't grade that well. Son of Skywalker has no 10s with 34 submitted, 13 9s, 12 8s, 7 7. So, the ones that are 10 are not on this list. So they were probably only one-offs here or there, since I only shared the top cards that were graded out of this set, which is not many. Very few. There's 4 IG-88 submitted. There's 1 Forlom submitted. There's 3 Boss submitted. It's not. You would think those would be maybe more abundant. I thought that was kind of surprising. I thought there'd be more of those graded, but there's not. So I thought that was really interesting.
I think it's just one of those things too. A lot of people probably didn't grade more because they were just they looked at their card and just automatically knew that it wasn't going to 10 because Dagobah's quality is so crap that they didn't even bother sending it in. Whereas for Yoda or Executor or Son of Skywalker, it's maybe more worth it to try and send in hoping. Whereas an IG-88 or something, it's probably not even worth bothering with. But the bigger the cards, like the Yodas and stuff, you might take more of a chance.
But doesn't that, from a collecting standpoint, make it that much more interesting when you have a set that's truly challenging to get even 9s, if not 10s? So a Dagobah 10, in theory, should weigh a lot more than a Cloud City, Jabba's Palace, even special edition or Hoth, 10, right? Because of the quality of the card stock is so difficult,
long term.
That would be the ultimate challenge. We'll probably find over time how hard it is to get 10s out of that set.
Then you have to, though, buy the boxes of Dagobah, though, because I get cards my near mint Dagobah box, like if somebody like came to me and were like, hey, you have any Dagobah cards that could 10, could blah blah, like any card. We'll just say they randomly like we can still outmaneuver them. They're just like looking for Dagobah 10s. I you know what I tell them? I'd be like, it's not even worth my time to go through that box and look at any of those because the quality of the cards is just like so bad that my box, all the cards in my near mint section for Dagobah are probably 8s or 9s. Or maybe even a few 7s because some of those are still considered near mint or close. That's how bad Dagobah is. I've sorted through Dagobah probably 5 or 6 times and Mark knows how strict I am on cards. And it's just like, I remove cards from the near mint box to the slight play blocks probably every time I look through it because cards that, they're near mint when you think the first time they're near mint and you go back through looking for cards for somebody who wants near mint only. They're one of the, I love Julian Cocker to death, but the ones that are only looking for mint cards, I'm just like, I find like, we'll say a fifth of the cards I go through when I look through them, I'm just like, wow. I was like, how did I put this in the near mint box? And I have to move it to the slight play box because the conditions are just so bad. Like they rub against and it turns them into a slight played card instead of a near mint card.
It raises a good question because when people are like, I only want to buy mint singles, like, well, that's a big ask for a seller because as we've seen and done many times through each of us, if we take, these nice pack quality cards and if they were to get graded, they'd still get like a 7 or 8. So it's like, would they blame you for being like, oh, well, this is not mint, but it technically came from the factory, as is.
When people message me,
where is that line drawn? What's that? Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if that's fair to necessarily ask a seller to do that. Like, I just assume that like they're going to cover their ass and say, you know what, it's near mint, maybe LP. I don't know. I'm not a grader. Here's nice pictures of the card.
My thoughts.
But like, you take that risk as a buyer, and I think that should be understood as a buyer. When you're buying that card, that's on you to determine whether you like the quality of that card, because it all is kind of subjective at the end of the day. So, and I certainly wouldn't list a card as mint, period, because like even if it was in my mind like mint, I wouldn't want to take that risk. Being like, someone's gonna be like, this isn't mint, this is something else.
That's why, again, like Mark and I've had this conversation where I always like. That's why he says my cards are always better than I say they are. It's because I don't want to fool around with people. The people that ask me if I have cards that will grade a 10, I just flat out tell them, like, look, maybe, but I'm not going to go through my cards and look. You're going to have to, if you want that, you're going to have to buy your own pack and get that. Because people also don't understand the amount of time it takes for a seller to go through and look at that stuff. It's just like not even worth it. Because like I said, with the Dagobah box, I'm not going to find any card in there that's a 10, or I thought could, even maybe 9s. It's just like, it's not worth my time for the few cents more. Like when people ask to find mint commons, I'm just like,
yeah, well, especially
no, I'm not.
Yeah. Especially since as it's raw, for you to declare mint versus near mint when it comes to selling the card raw, like generally the price difference isn't that much. So it's like, you're right. Like, why would that be worth anyone's time to go through a microscope of every card? Like, I don't think that's fair to the seller. Like, if you really wanted that, then buy a whole bunch of stuff in bulk that you're like, I didn't sort this. There could be some good stuff in here, but that's on you, Like, that's what I would expect to be like. Okay.
Hopefully people, if they haven't seen our other 2 videos, see this one, because I hope that people understand what we're saying here. It's just like, it is definitely unfair to ask sellers to find you mint cards to send to you.
Well, if you do, you should be expecting to pay a premium. You should be expecting, because I know one time I was like, I want something like mint mains and I'll pay you like 1.5 times like market. Like you should expect to pay a premium if you want that.
Oh yeah, I've had people do that too. Like they've offered premiums for that stuff to me. So
in conclusion, Dagobah is kind of one of those things to like keep an eye on it, because there's not much stuff that was submitted there. I think for the cards that people do like out of Dagobah, they're more likely to get it in the form of a Reflections foil of Yoda, of Yoda's hut, of one of the bounty hunters. They would rather have the foil for the showiness of it. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Dagobah themed cards in foil form outperform regular Dagobah cards.
Yeah, I think from mainstream, like people coming from, let's say, sports, which is of course much larger than Star Wars in general, those people will gravitate towards the foils. Although it is often like I do have some people who do gravitate towards the non-foils, and I suspect those tend to be more the people who had like the non-foils as a kid. But yeah, there's certainly, I think you're right that maybe the foils have a more broad appeal in general. So maybe that'll be interesting to see how that evolves. And yeah, maybe it's just kind of a wait and see thing.
All right, so let's go to the next set I have here. I have some of the Japanese stuff started coming out here. So there's not many, but there are some premier Japanese cards graded. 39 of
there's not very many
submitted with PSA. Well, keep in mind, I've seen a few premier Japanese cards submitted through BGS. I don't think I have any in HGA. I do have a Corellian Corvette Japanese that's a BGS 9.5, which I'm pretty sure would be a PSA 10, but I'm going to keep it.
Which one? Correct or error?
I didn't know there was an error one.
Yeah, there's 2 Japanese Corellian Corvettes. It's just in the title. It's slightly different lettering. It was more of a joke. I didn't mean for you to get up and well, it wasn't that deep, but yeah, there is 2 Corellian Corvettes, and there is an error. You can't tell which the error, which isn't the error.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, you wouldn't know though, because it's just like, how do you know which one's right and which one isn't? It's like in the title of the card, they were saying in English it'd be Corellian Corvette, so they couldn't mess it up. But in the Japanese one, half of them have a little like squiggly mark different than the others. So it's like on a sheet of people talk about the best Ben spider droid with the no.
Are you talking about in the like in the middle there?
No, at the very top. I don't think you're not gonna be able to see where the little. Okay, go hold it back up, and about the third, not the little dash, but it looks like it's like a table almost. It looks like it has 2 legs and a slanted table. That part on the other Corellian Corvette isn't connected. You see where it looks like a crooked table, like 2 legs and then like a slant?
You're murdering the Japanese language.
Yeah, there's one that doesn't connect at the top. So half of them are one way, half of them are the other, and it's like you couldn't tell which is the error. Just like I was saying, the best Ben droid from A New Hope Japanese that has a 0 for its forfeit value. People always call it the error, right? But the thing is, half of those have no forfeit, have a blank forfeit, and half of them have the forfeit.
Right.
So one's not any more rare than the other. The same with the Corvette. Whereas like
the
No
JP
Trooper and
did that recently.
E-Web, those actually are a lot. Those I don't know what the percent of those is, but those are a lot more of an error than the other 2. The other 2 are basically 50-50s.
Yeah, I don't
look at him now. He's like, now I need the other Corvette in a 9.5 too.
Well, I have a lot of Corvettes, so I'll look through my long stack of wasted.
Probably about 50-50. Did Mark?
The interesting thing is, so I asked myself this.
I actually didn't know that.
Oh, okay. Well,
the more you know.
I didn't know that.
You got to talk to me, Fred, more.
Oh, I mean,
so I have all these premier Japanese cards, right? And I have a lot of pack fresh premier Japanese cards. So the question is, like, pretty sure there's not as many people ripping open new premier Japanese stuff. Do I grade it because I have an opportunity to take something that's like really new and fresh and have something that most people won't? Or is most people going to be like, I just don't really care. Like, that's nice that you have it. But like, like, is that just like
maybe the Corvette and the Star Destroyer or Sense and Alter?
I ask myself this all the time.
I'd say mainly probably just Star Destroyer and Corvette and then Sense and Alter. I don't think
get a Seeker set.
Maybe the rare is different. But like commons and uncommons wise, you probably wouldn't. I mean, even like a sensor and altar and a 10, would anybody really care? It's hard to say.
Yes and no. I would say if JP was struggling to fill in a set, I don't know where he's getting all new premier Japanese stuff. I was like, if I have commons that are in good shape, then I could submit a few. If needed.
I would be surprised if he hasn't given up, just because of the price for grading at BGS now to try and get what he actually wants, because
he has been sending more into PSA because they've been setting up registries. So like I see in the PSA prop reports, a lot of these cards have pop 1s, but I know who's submitting. They're all JP submitting all these cards. Like I know
it's he's still.
Trying to fill in.
The bulk is still like 19, right? Sending in how many? 208? Is it?
No,
it's 15 for a Star Wars CCG for the 15 cards. It was 18 because those were modern sports.
For common and uncommons? That's still a lot of money, right?
It is. And you're not guaranteed what comes back with those, right? But I will say overall, the premier Japanese cards are, for the most part, pretty well centered, and the only thing you have to worry about is like the corners. They tend to get like little white marks or nicks or stuff because a lot of these are like packs that have been floating around and banged around. So I've gotten cards with just
in general for Star Wars
lines down the middle.
I was gonna say, I think corners in general are some of the hardest for Star Wars cards because of the roundness instead of the pointedness.
What I would consider grading in Premier Japanese actually are some of the uncommon ones, which are definitely harder to come across than these rare twos. Even just a Star Destroyer, I don't come across that very often. Like I think I have
Star Destroyer, but not like Jawas.
You know, uncommon one. No, but I mean, in all seriousness, I don't see out of all you've. I mean, I've opened a lot of packs. I've opened a lot of starter stuff. You would think you'd see more uncommons here and there, but there's some uncommons I literally only have one of. You know, like in my main set, even though I have 5, you know, Seekers and like 4 Sandcrawlers. You know, like those are rares technically. Like, why do I have more of those than I have of some of the uncommons? Like, hello, like some of these uncommon ones are just, you don't see them, you know? That's why I like Luke's Land Speeder and 2X and trying to think of other
Lightside Dantooine.
Lightside Dantooine. Uncommon ones, stuff that you like don't really think about, but you don't see as much. Or you have to worry about buying a single because you just can't, you don't see it in enough.
Lightside Dantooine is UUC.
Yeah, I mean, it's something if I come across some good uncommon ones, I probably will grade those because you just don't see them.
The thing I was talking about with the corners that I don't know, like other people might not ever think about too, is like when people cut a sports sheet, like football sheet, they just cut it and then that's it. With the Star Wars thing, they have the tool they use to round the corners too. So getting symmetrical on both corners, either top or bottom, is not even ever. You know, you could have a total mint card and the corners will just be off because of the tool they use, the extra tool they use for the corners that most other games don't use. So that makes it even harder corner wise.
Well, yeah, yeah, we've talked about this before. Like, none of the corners are symmetrical either, like one side or the other. But yeah, overall, I was surprised. I guess I thought maybe more Japanese Premier stuff would be graded here. I mean, there's 3 Millennium Falcons graded. 2 of them are 9s, no 10s. Luke Skywalker, there's 4 of them graded, but there are 2 10s out there, 1 9, 1 8. So I thought that was interesting. A Luke Skywalker Premier Japanese 10 would be a pretty good card to have. Han Solo, there's no 10s and 2 9s.
Do I have one? Let me check.
There's a Grand Moff Tarkin 7, and I think that was the only one submitted. That was Mark's, and I think you sold that, right? For like less than it was at face value.
Yeah, I think I went for under market, but you know, that's just.
So would you guys crack them then?
Some people would.
If I were trying to complete my Japanese set and I needed that card and I bought that in the slab, I would probably break it and just throw it in my sleeve.
Oh, here we go. I think I got this from was it Mark Avey or someone was selling it a while back?
What is that?
Yeah, is that Japanese?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, so that's one of 2 of PSA 10s.
Yeah.
So it's that one and then hold us?
Yeah, that's this one and hold us.
Well, at least you stopped him from having the monopoly of pop
or
ones.
Or have I? We'll see.
Oh wait, does he want yours?
Or maybe I want his. I don't know.
Oh, there you go.
We'll see.
Then again,
some behind the scenes dealings, I see.
Maybe. Always in motion, the future is.
And then Darth Vader, interesting too. There's 4 Darth Vaders graded and 2 10 Japanese Darth Vaders. 1 9 and 1 7.
7
so
I also
I thought that was interesting. Like, that's pretty high percentage of 10s to everything else, even though not many of those cards have been submitted to be graded. So I thought that was really interesting. And I think a Darth Vader 10 Japanese would be easier to acquire than like your original set.
You mean English 10?
95, 96. It would be easier to get the Japanese as a 10 than it is the English one. but it's still
definitely on
a very
per-card
rare
basis.
card.
Oh, definitely on a per card basis. That's 100% for sure. But yeah, even with like how, what do you got there, B, Fred? I thought those were all going to be Japanese Vaders. Now I was going to be like, what have you been doing, man? No wonder you're in debt.
You need to pass me over that Vader's custom tie, that Han Solo. I'm going to go ahead and get that from you.
Yeah, these are. I haven't got around to asking Chad yet. These are all Chad's because Chad opened literally like 40 some boxes of starter decks.
If Chad wants to bring it down to the expected market value, then
I mean, I definitely maybe shoot him a message yourself.
I mean, I'd end up paying basically what it would cost me to buy, almost a booster box of Premier Japanese to get like.
Yeah, but you get the cards. You get the cards you wanted though.
True.
And then you could sell your packs.
But none of the content for YouTube. You know, when people message me like, "Dude, I love your Japanese videos." Like,
you should be like, "Well,
now
you can buy the packs and make your own videos."
Yeah,
and then you'll make special edition videos instead, trying to get the soft pelican Pop 1 PSA 10.
But yeah, I'd be interested. I mean, going back to the Premier Japanese stuff. To wrap up, I think I'm a little torn as to what to do with some of these cards. So, like, I'm keeping them stored nicely, but I don't know what to do with them. I am working on I think I'm going to do a complete common, uncommon, and rare 2 set of Japanese Premier, and then maybe list that for sale. I feel like that would be a good entrance point for somebody who was, like, considering about it, but maybe didn't want to, like, pull the plug, like, pull the trigger on a full set at 4,000, 4,100. I don't know what the whole rare 1 set is too, but I feel like a complete to rares 2 set should be worth, I don't know, 500, 600.
Sturz was selling them for a while. I think he ran out though.
How far out do you guys think I mean, we don't really even see many of the so-called, I'm calling it that, just hope it catches on, but like the Power 8, so to say, from Premier, the light side mains, Vader and Tarkin, like we don't really have sets of those. So like that would be kind of what I'd hope first grading wise, right? And then do you guys think it would go out to like the R1s and then the R2s eventually, or do you think that's still pretty far off? Sounds like we're still pretty far off for Japanese.
I think, well, there's some people that have complete Japanese sets and then they have some extras. So if they came across extras of mains, they kept them. If they came across extras of commons, uncommons, or BS other rares, they would have sold them off or traded them, for whatever they needed or wanted at the time, whether that was cash or something else. So what I'm seeing here is people who are submitting their Devastator, their Vader, their Obi-Wan, their Leia, all the rare stuff that, like, obviously I'm looking for, but like they kept those because they wanted to, it's a main, I should keep it, maybe it'll be worth more, or I can grade this, yada yada. But they're not going to grade Tactical Recall, as Andy says, or I have you now. Just don't care about that.
It could be Power.
That's
9,
what I would do.
Devastator, Power 9.
I want a Devastator, but there is a. I didn't see if there was a Devastator graded. I think there was only maybe one. I don't know. I didn't pull all the Premier stuff, but. I only pulled the stuff that was graded a lot. So yeah, long story short, I'd love to hear what people thought about it, because I'm not convinced that the market is healthy enough for it to make sense to grade, like B. Fred was saying, like more of those. But at the same token, it is hard to pass up the fact that these cards are brand fresh and new. And, if there was a time to do it, it would be sooner than later. So
make mystery packs.
Yeah, I mean, I list stuff in bulk, or I throw them in bulk lots, but a lot of times it sits unless I do a 99-cent auction, in which case.
Well, I mean, offer like 2 rares and X amount of commons and X amount of uncommons per mystery pack, and just sell packs like that, because some people might just like to be like, oh, hey, it's like they can afford $60 or whatever a Premier Japanese pack is now, but maybe they can afford $15 to $20 for a repack, where they know they're going to get 2 rares, and it's probably not going to be a Vader, because who's going to put a Vader in a repack? But they might just be cool in some commons and uncommons.
If I had the depth of bulk, I would do that, but I don't. I mean, I know
wait until you open those other
do that, but
2,500 packs you have.
I've sold off so much bulk already that I'm left with all my white border Premiere. And
I have like 20 common uncommon sets and like 40 common sets of Premier Japanese, and it doesn't sell. It like literally, I had them on eBay and my site forever. The stuff doesn't sell.
Premier common, 40 Premier common sets.
Chad, like I said, Chad opened like 40 boxes of starter deck boxes, and I got all the commons and uncommons when we made a deal for his collection. And I sorted all the stuff. It's up on the site and everything. I've spent way more work sorting all the stuff than I've ever going to make selling any of the stuff. We'll put it that way. I've sold like 2 common uncommon sets out of like 20. So it's like,
I mean,
at this point, other people are listing them cheaper. So now I'm gonna have to. If these people are undercutting me, now I'm gonna have to start like listing them at like $100. And eventually, the market they'll all be worthless.
Well, you could always give them out to the kids at Halloween. That's what I say with my extra bulk.
Give them to my cats.
All right, so there is some A New Hope Japanese stuff graded.
I already looked ahead. Those were funny to me.
There's more graded than I guess I thought there would be, but there's 42 cards graded. I think most of this stuff is from JP. However, the Bespin Void Spider and the misprint one are both.
Oh yeah,
they're both 8s, so there is competition for that.
I'm sending mine in.
There's only one red 5 graded, and it's an 8. So I thought that was interesting because that's a main one, right?
I'm interested to see if Mark sends his in. What he'll get.
That's one Wedge Antilles.
They're already in,
right?
Yeah.
9. I thought that was interesting. 3 Chewbacca's, 2 9s, no 10s, right? I looked at like Attack Run. So there's a 9 and an 8 out there. Death Star, there's only 1 graded, and it's an 8. I thought that was interesting. Super Laser, there's a 8 and a 5, I think, 6 or something.
Some of those are holders. I remember him showing a bunch of random A New Hope stuff like 4 years ago to me, and I was just like, "Why did you get Super Laser graded?" You know.
Well, it's kind of a cool card. I mean, at least the foil is kind of a cool card. I don't know about.
When I was a kid, I loved that card, even without the gameplay implications, because
it looks cool.
It's a cool looking card.
It's cool.
And U3PO,
U3PO is a tough one.
So apparently you were right. Like U3PO is no joke because mine came out a 7. There's another one that's a 7 here. But
it's hard to tell how the front of the card looks. Like trying to determine if the surface is nice or not. It's such a hard card to check condition on, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, I did sell it, so somebody is enjoying their U3PO, which they purchased for a fraction of anything. Pennies on the dollar. Power to them. But yeah, I feel like A New Hope Japanese, if there was a market for anybody who cared about Premiere, there's probably way less of a market that cares about A New Hope Japanese. I feel like nobody talks about that ever.
If Mark gets some 10s, I think he could squeeze some money out of it, but especially since I gave them to him free, basically.
I mean, Chewbacca and R2 are R2s as well, right? They're rare 2s, so they're not even like the hardest ones to find. Like a Japanese Brainiac 10 would be more impressive, technically. It's more rare.
Yeah, it's going to take some time probably to mature.
But Red 5, I thought that surprised me too, because I feel like that's a pretty cool card. Somebody did grade a Japanese.
Not very. The centering is really, really miss. I'd say it's about an 80 or 90% miss on A New Hope, though. Which is why when I get those nice center cards, I thought I saved them for so long before I gave them to Mark, because you usually don't see centering that nice on A New Hope.
Thanks, yeah.
On the Japanese A New Hope specifically.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to buy a full set Japanese A New Hope years ago. It just somebody had listed it, and I think I got it for $450 or something. And
that's not horrible. I think I've had like 15 sets go through my hands. Like for a while when I was buying collections, like 2 or 3 in a row, just randomly had a complete Japanese A New Hope set in them. And I was just like, this is weird. Are these that, common that just everybody has Japanese A New Hope sets?
Well, then, I had never seen it, and I was like, I'm not going to buy the raw product and fish through it. So I'm just going to buy the complete set and not have to think about it. Essentially, I was like, I just
that way too.
So I never really cared about it. And then I had those 3 booster boxes that I bought from somebody. eBay was selling it for $150. I thought I was buying one, but I bought all 3. So it was like a crazy deal. Yeah.
I mean, I got
like,
some.
Wait, did I just get 3 boxes for $150? I mean, granted, that was like 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago, but
still, I mean,
I thought that was.
I got mine for like $250, like 4 years ago. Each $250 each, let alone $150. Wow.
I wonder if they either didn't know what they had or just mislabeled it or something. I don't know. I had this totally unrelated. I had the Dominion card game came out with these promos and they were like $10 each, and there's 10 cards in the pack of promos. So I ordered a pack, but whoever packed it gave me 10 packs of promos. So this was like right when they were released. So I immediately listed the other 9 on eBay and made like 10-fold my money back because I only needed 1 pack. Like, you don't need extra. It's for a game. Like, you don't need extra. It doesn't do you any good. So I thought, I was just like, well, maybe it was just one of those things. Some secretary who was handling the business, like, didn't understand what they were doing.
Some foolish carpenter laid the plans to the Death Star just out on the table.
Essentially.
The blueprints.
But somebody did grade a sealed pack. I thought that was interesting. The sealed pack itself got a 7. So, like,
it's a New Hope sealed pack.
Right. I don't know why.
Japanese, yeah.
I don't understand the grading of a sealed pack. To me, that's a little weird.
I mean, when a lot of hardcore collectors, when you run out of stuff to collect, what do? You find something new,
Yeah,
so
but
I can see.
You can collect it, but like, what do you, like a slabbed booster as a 7? You probably paid like, I don't know, an extra $50 to $100 just to do that.
More than you needed to.
Right. And inevitably, sometimes people buy slabs of boosters and they just crack open the slab because they want to open the booster. So it's like, what does that do exactly? Any thoughts on those, Mark? I know Brian and I were kind of running through that.
There was apparently a thing, I don't remember how it came up. Was it when there was the whole Logan Paul Pokemon thing about how they get mailed to some guy? I think it was the same guy who was authenticating at the time. It was the same guy who authenticated that like fake booster box. I think they were doing the sealed packs.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
So I wonder if it's still the same thing.
Box. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it's still the same dealio there. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I guess I never really thought about like trying to get a completely mint pack. Like, to me, if it's sealed and in decent condition. But yeah, like you guys said, I guess there's something for everyone out there. So maybe someday someone will have a gem mint set of packs. We can admire it.
There was somebody selling Cloud City packs sealed in PSA 9 things for a while. Like, he had like a bunch. Like, I guess he sent in like maybe 10 and then was just.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah, he had the 9s, the 8s, and the 7s. Yeah.
You gotta open the PSA 9 packs to get the PSA 10 Boba Fetts.
it's PSA 10 Boba Fett for a PSA 10 pack.
I couldn't in my right mind justify paying $100 for a Cloud City pack that's sealed. Like, I don't know. It just didn't.
As I pull out my 20 sealed packs in PSA 9.
PSA 9. See, that's how you get your money back on your boosters, Brian. You seal them in PSA and then you sell them for $100.
And then advertise that you could pull a Boba Fett out in PSA 9 or 10.
1998 Enhanced Premier. So I was excited about this. There's 80 Enhanced Premier cards graded, right? So there's 6 10s. 1 10 is Darth Vader lightsaber. 2 Luke with lightsabers. I have 1 of them. Obi-Wan with lightsaber. There's 1 10. No Han with heavy blaster pistol and no Leia with blaster pistol 10s. But there are 2 Boba Fett 10s. The Han and Leia thing doesn't surprise me because I think for those people that want them, they're paying now like twice the amount for a box, an enhanced box of Han or Leia, at least to the other guys. At least from what I've seen listed, like you're going to pay over $100 for a box. And then even if you do that, are you going to want to open that box just for that one card and then hope that it's going to be grade well. Because I think at this point, like most people have these cards in their sets. They have complete sets of Enhanced Premier, but the question is, were they stored in, those 90s binders, or were they used in decks or whatever? So, they're none of them are
already slightly messed up from not being, in storage the best they could be, like we already talked about.
Yeah, because there's plenty of those cards available. Those cards themselves are not exactly rare. They're just cool cards, and they're functional cards for decks.
And especially, I think a lot of people that still play tabletop, so they're not playing with B cards and stuff. They're just, so these EPPs are all the top of the power curve still if they're just playing Premier to Death Star 2, really.
Powerful, cool cards.
I get people all the time that buy them in bulk from me almost, Never had problems selling EPPs before.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. It kind of makes me want to find a way to submit more in that set. I don't know if I want to rip through. I have a lot of enhanced boxes, but I don't necessarily want to open them all. Just for
especially Hans and Leia's, because those are actually sell from anywhere from $80 to $200 usually.
Well, I actually picked up one. DA Card World had that one on eBay. That was me that picked it up. They listed the Leia EPP Leia 9 for I think $80. So I just popped it. I just got it off eBay.
Oh, that was a good catch, actually.
Did you open it?
No, it was the graded Leia as a 9.
Oh! So you have one of the 9s then?
I just picked
3
it up,
9s, right? Yeah. So I'd say that was a good deal for you.
I mean, we probably never see a 10. I mean, it seems like we may. I'm just saying it seems like it'd be.
Well, you got the 10 Lupith Saber, right, Kyle? You just got that back in your last return in the last video.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just gushing over that. I was just like, I couldn't believe it.
So what's funny? That card, I pulled that card from my personal set. I have a binder of extra, like enhanced promos, tourney stuff. Like I just had it, pulled it out of the sleeve. I was like, oh, this one's in kind of nice shape. Maybe I'll throw it in. And I was not expecting it to be a 10 because a lot of the other cards I've submitted before that came back 7s and 8s were singles I bought on eBay. Tanaka was definitely a single I bought on eBay for like a couple bucks.
No, didn't both your Panakas PSA 6 though?
Yeah, they're gonna be those are gonna be channel giveaways. So for those who like cards slab but don't care as much about the number, they're perfect. Or for somebody entering into the world of graded cards, it's good to have cheap slabs around. There's like cheap slabs sell. Like if you go to like sports card stores, right? They usually have sections for all their fancy stuff in the glass, but then they also have like a section in the back of like, under $20 or under $15 or under 10 or 5. And they have those sections.
The affordable stuff for kids with their allowance.
Yeah. And like people want to have the stuff, but they don't have enough to afford the big stuff. But it's cool to be like, hey, I got slabs or I got cool cards that I got from the store or something they could walk away with, and talk about. So there is a market for them. They won't hold much value, obviously, but they are still novelty.
Somebody's going to be happy with it, though, is what I think the moral of the story.
But I recognize
somebody's going to like that Panaka, just maybe not you.
But I recognize, it's probably not going to sell for very much, but it's fine. I have to believe that like what Mark was talking about since the beginning of like just having slabs out there, having people talk about it, want it, show it off, like it does help grow the community and the discussion, and we've seen the group grow. So like part of me feels like, well, if anything, donating to the greater cause by just having these out there, then so be it. It's like whatever. I think for everything that's like either done or sold for under, I'm thinking of all the times I've like super benefited from somebody else's loss, and we don't generally think about those as much as we do think about, the times where we're like, oh, we sold this for less than we got it for. That sucks. But it's like, I've definitely gotten cards that are worth way more than what I paid for, whether that's by auction or by somebody who didn't really care or know what they had. And you just buy it, you don't really question it. You just do it and you're like, that's my day. I win, but like, you're only thinking about the things that you sold that were a loss. So like at the end of the day, you have to believe it's somewhat of a wash, or probably you're still winning, to some degree. So
that makes a lot of sense. Because I definitely remember all the times when my set sold, and I'm just like, man, I was like, these didn't sell for what I wanted, and you feel bad, and then you never remember the 2 times before that where they all sold for, more than they should have because you got 2 people just going crazy against each other bidding. But yeah, you're right. You're right on that.
I just had a quick note on the EPP set, the Enhanced Premiere, and that's if you'll look at the pops, there's a lot of 6s, and that's because I think, as we've noted for Kyle, you never know when you open these packs if they're going to just be damaged out of the box. In particular, the Vader with Saber, I think there's more 6s than there are 9s, and it's a problem because you just look at the card and it looks great until you look at the bottom, and because of the way the Cypher packed them in there, they just get damaged over time. So with other sets, you could hope to get fresh out of the pack and it'd be as close to good as you can get, but with some of these EPPs, just over the years, how they were stored and how it aged, you might be out of luck with a lot of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we've talked about this before, but it wouldn't surprise me, and that's my biggest fear of cracking open another enhanced box, is that bottom part is going to be bent and warped because of that stupid insert that they used, and just having it exposed because it was one card, like as opposed to having multiple cards, kind of the sturdiness of more cardboard keeping things flat and straight. You just have one card, so it's going to bend. It's going to get marked on the edges. So yeah, I don't know how crazy I would be to crack open more of those boxes. If you do want to do that, power to you, best of luck. But personally, I think I'm gonna just if somebody does it slabbed and I really want it, cool. But I'm not sure I'll crack open more of those. Now I know it's different with the enhanced Cloud City and Jabba's Palace, which we can talk about later. But those had more cards at least in them, and I think they used a different insert piece, if I'm not mistaken. I have those insert pieces somewhere, but
I haven't opened those in so long I can't remember.
Yeah, it's hard to say it would be worth it, because you're going to get unlimited Premier packs. So it's like, all right. I mean, I guess you could sell the unlimited Premier packs, but you and everybody else is trying to do it. So, all right. So let's see. We got a few other things here. Hoth Japanese. So there are some Hoth Japanese cards graded. Looks
are there any 10s?
Not many. There's no 10.
Yeah.
No 10s.
And then for anybody who's like thinking about grading the Hoth, I wouldn't even bother. Because like literally there's no perfectly centered Japanese card. Maybe light side, but definitely not dark side. Dark side are always slightly off centered. I think Holda's got a 10.
Actually, I'm pretty sure the E-Web Blaster and Snow Trooper Officer I submitted, those didn't have centering issues. Those had just the tiniest little white marks in the corners. So like I knew they wouldn't be a 10, but I was like, if it weren't for those, rares. I was like, we'd have a shot.
I was talking rares, though. The dark side rares, they're all off.
Wizard 1, Rogue 1.
Dark side rares is what I meant.
There is, let's see, Commander Luke Skywalker. There is a 9. There's a General Veers 8. Let's see, there's a Wampa 9.
Didn't Holda have a 10?
There's really not.
It was a 9. Holda had a 9. CLS Japanese.
Okay.
I think it's going to be really difficult to get the populations like improved on those. I mean,
especially because
I think most of them at this point have been passed around a lot. I think if you were to take the cards that have been collected already, they'd probably be 7s or 8s, at best, just because they've been handled at this point. Like no one's going to be opening that much Hoth Japanese sealed product. I mean, the fact that I got those packs from Sergey, who you said, I think probably had the most Hoth Japanese, right? He had the most Hoth Japanese stuff that you'd heard of.
He sold all of his.
Sergey in Canada?
Yeah, he sold. He might have a box
so
left,
I bought.
But he sold all his loose packs. For the most part, I think the most people have left.
Yeah, I know. I bought them all. But
yeah, I think maybe the most I know of out there is people that have like a box. I don't know. A box and a pack I don't know anybody who has more than that for Japanese Hoth right now.
I know of a few loose packs available, but even still, you'd be really crazy to open it. Although I have 2 packs myself. I am tempted to open one, maybe as like a birthday gift myself, but I wouldn't expect something crazy to be in there. And I certainly...
There can't be a seeker in there, at least. You're safe.
Use it to like complete a set.
There can only be a random bad rogue.
If somebody had a graded Hoth Japanese set, but think about this, right? If somebody even had, like, let's say hypothetically, you were able to achieve what would most people consider impossible, right? Like a PSA 9 and above Hoth Japanese set. I mean, what would the value be of that? And who the heck would buy it? Like, you'd never.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a value.
Ever be able to unload it. I mean, in theory, it should be worth a fortune. An absolute fortune. Like,
what was that TV show? Pawn Stars?
Arguably, that could be $100,000 set. You know, if
you could take it in and try and sell for $100,000
to ever top that.
In terms of rarity, it certainly got it.
But think about that. Think about that. Not only the rarity, but the grading of it. I mean, like that.
Would you get upcharged for them too?
Unfathomable. But you know, again, like
in theory,
you'd probably never get your money back on it.
No, of course not. Definitely not.
Yeah. So I don't
know. By the way, Kyle,
personally, I wouldn't want to grade for a set.
I was just say, if you want Japanese Hoth packs, you might. A guy named David Maslak. He on eBay, his name is just like Maslak, and I don't know if you've ever encountered him on the forums or anything, but he claims to have.
Oh, I know.
Okay, so yeah, he has some stuff.
Yeah, no, I at this point, most people I've communicated with at some point or another, but again, you know, I don't see why most people want to collect Hoth Japanese to finish their sets, and we've already kind of discussed that. But it wouldn't hurt to be, you know, like having a Blizzard 1, a Veers, a Luke Skywalker, you know, like graded, like that's pretty cool, like that's pretty badass. I don't think it would be worth grading everything out of that for a set, though. That's insane. That's just insane. But the E-Web Blaster and Snow Trooper
those if you want to send them in. If you got some money to spend, Kyle, I've got those. You can send them in to get graded.
You think they'd grade well?
I'll look at them. They were all near mint or close when I looked at them. But near mint or close still might just be like an 8
near mint?
Japanese Hoth. Yeah, I'm saying that they're all near mint or close.
Yeah, that's what I would
say. That's not taking centering into consideration. So I'm guessing that they wouldn't any of them get better than probably 8s. 8 would be like probably the ceiling. Maybe a few 9s, depending. But
yeah, but for most people, they would be happy just to have it raw. You know, kind of like the blank backs and stuff. They're probably happy to have that raw, just to have it. You know, the only reason we graded the other ones was because this is probably the only chance to get something truly packed fresh and of such a high quality. So if somebody really cared about having the best version of it, it exists. Otherwise, most people just probably won't. 100%. Jabba's Palace. There's not many Jabba's Palace. There's like 101 Jabba's Palace cards graded here. So there's 6 10s, though. I thought that was interesting. 10 R2s, but there's no 10s of R2, right? There's 14 Jabba the Hutts, but no 10s. There's 8 9s. 46 Princess Leia Organa, but there's 1 10. There's 18 9s and 28. So somebody has a Princess Leia Organa 10. That is a hell of a card. I would love to have that. I have not seen it myself, but whoever that is a damn cool card to have as a 10.
I'd like to have a foil of that in a 10.
And 10, which?
It's actually a pretty sweet looking foil.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that's probably more people have probably tried grading it in a foil, but we'll have to see that when we get to 1999 eventually. Teal Screech has 8 graded with no 10. So
it's like a 5.
Blizzard.
So although Jabba's Palace has like, oh, you're gonna laugh. I submitted a Jabba's Palace rare that I'm pretty sure like nobody even knows.
Is it Hermiodal?
Oh God, what is it called? Palladium or Palladium? It's exactly. It's like a dark side alien Jabba's Palace.
Badalin?
Yeah.
Badalin? So, one of those ones where
whatever
like
it is, you know what it is. It starts with a V, but I submitted that.
Is it in this one that you just got back?
Useless 99-cent rare, I'm sure you can find. No, I haven't gotten it back, but I did submit it out because I was like, this will be the only one of this graded.
I was going to say 99-cent rare in PSA 10. That was like $3, right? Or $4.
No, this is the mark effect, right? You find really obscure cards to grade. You just grade them and then see what happens.
What could
I
go
blame
wrong?
Mark for this.
Mark, what have you done? What have you done?
I did have no responsibility for this.
The poor Kyle.
So we'll see how that goes. Are there any other cards you would want to grade out of Jabba's Palace? Having a size
Salacious Crumb.
would be
Max Rebo.
Max Rebo.
Max Rebo. That's a good one. Rancor.
Oh, Salacious Crumb. Yeah.
Bib.
Rancor. Oh.
Eat that man.
Yeah, Rancor is out of Jabba's Palace too. The funny thing is, like, you could go through. I feel like it doesn't take many packs to get through to like an R2 or even Jabba or Princess Leia. Like, you don't have to. They're not super uncommon, right? So like, they're still fairly plentiful.
This is exact same as Cloud City.
Would be nice to have.
Exact same as Cloud City.
Yeah, the cards are plentiful. The sealed product is plentiful. So people will keep going for that.
Probably the cheapest there is.
You're right. I don't know.
Honestly, sealed wise.
Yeah. So we'll see if that changes. I think, again, if people want Jabba's Palace stuff, they're probably more excited to have the foil version of it. So I'm very curious when we get to eventually to Reflections in a future call what that looks like.
I think Reflections one is what I'm most interested in, to see like the pops and the condition wise on that, because those, like we had talked about the sliminess, the film stuff that was on those, and plus the off-centered nature of those cards too. I'm interested to see the pops. I think I saw a foil Vader that was a 10, but I don't know how many of those could be out there.
But Mark can speak to this, because didn't a lot of the Reflections 1 foils come from Wild Things games and like just the plentifulness that they had to
recently
cut their own cards?
Yeah, there was a whole thing.
There was a time where you could buy a whole complete foil set, inexpensive, but most people wouldn't know whether it was from the pack or cut aftermarket, I guess. Not that it really mattered, but my guess is some of the aftermarket cutting was not well centered at all.
As far as PSA can tell, though, I don't think they can tell the difference.
So 98 Anthology. Oh, you said you can tell or you can't tell?
I don't think PSA can tell. Also, I think you're on a slight delay, just FYI. But
Mark is going ham on somebody on the computer. It looks like he's like furiously typing.
Can't contain myself.
All right,
but I'll be back.
Sounds like Mark is going out. But all right, so there are 4 cards that Richie and AJ gave to me to submit.
Are those Star Wars?
HGA
Or are those
as part of my order? Star Wars CCG cards. Yeah, we'll go through Star Wars CCG cards. So there are 4 cards. They asked me to grade for them, and let's see. One of them was like the Jedi Council Chamber. One of them was Darth Maul. There was Prince Xizor or whatever you want to call him. And the other one is Boba Fett in Slave 1. So those 4 cards are going to Richie and AJ. I will show this nonetheless.
We're not going to reveal those, or we are going to reveal
with this first one. So Dagobah, Yoda's Hut. This is the white border version I pulled from a pack myself. This is a 9 with custom border. So I'll put these pictures closer on my Instagram. But this is really cool. They basically put like all this like plant growth and stuff in the background. Yeah, I'm actually quite happy with that. Corners 8.5, edges 8.5, surface and centering 9.5. So
the surface actually really good on that one.
Next one, Coruscant Jedi Council Chamber is a 9. This is what they did with the background. So it's like got the Coruscant background in there. This is the foil. So from Reflections 3. So corners 8, edges 8.5, surface 9.5, centering 9.5. Very cool horizontal slab. So that will probably go in my personal collection, right? And then
that's not the AJ and Richie one. Oh, they're both 9s.
So I have 2 of them. They both came back 9s. They have different subgrades, but one will go to Richie and AJ, and one I'll keep for myself. So quite happy that came back a 9, considering I've seen how Richie stores his cards, and you wouldn't expect cards to be close to a 9. I'm just busting his chops. Let's open the next one here. We got Prince Zizor, and this is a Reflections 3 super rare foil. This got an 8.5, so corners 8, edges 8, surface 8.5, centering 10, and it's got this cool city background. You can't really see it that well. I'll have to. Okay, is this better?
Yes, that looks better.
Okay, so this is the Coruscant Jedi Council chamber background. So you can kind of see that. A little bit of glare, but pretty neat though, right?
It looks like you can see the chairs and stuff.
Yeah, and then so this is the Prince Zizor background. You can kind of see it a little bit better. A little bit more clear, but it's like a city background, right? So
yeah, I could definitely see it. It's still on a delay, I think, but the picture is more clear when it's just stationary.
Yeah, so you can see like the jungle background in this one too.
It looks like you can see the swamp a little.
Yeah, and I like how they matched the color from here to the color of in the card there. I thought that was cool. All right, so the next one is Rogue 3. Oh, I love what they did with the background there. This is
the mountains in the back.
Very rare foil. It's a 9, so that's cool. I love what they do with the Hoth stuff, and you can see the like the planet in the background. So 8.5, 8.5, 9, 9. I think that looks so cool. I love the mountains in the background there. It's just a neat looking slab.
Yeah, I like that
All
one.
right.
Bad guys.
The next one is Anakin's Pod Racer. This was a single I bought online, and it's a 9. So this was a single I think I bought for like $5 or $6. So quite happy with that. I think. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Look at the lightning in there. That's really cool.
It looks like the generators from the pod, like the little thing that goes across that connects them.
Yeah, I think that looks sick.
That's I see that yours wasn't damaged.
No, that one was not damaged. So I'm actually quite happy with that one. All right. So this one, I asked them to do it in the exact same custom label as the other one I had submitted before, because I submitted one before and I got a 7.5, and I was like, there's got to be a way to get better. But this background looks so cool, and this is a 9, so this is a huge upgrade from the one I have already. Yeah. So this is sick. This is going to my PC for sure. 8.5.
HGA 9s are pretty hard to get, right?
Yeah, and I just love what they did with the sky, because you talked about like the Boba Fett and the sunset thing.
Yeah.
Having it in the slab, it's just really cool looking. So I'm going to put that in my display case. So very happy to get that upgraded. All right. We got here Gold Squadron 1 foil.
Hey, you got a 10.
And it's a 9. So that's awesome. Expanding the Galaxy, super rare foil. And that's pretty neat. They did with the like the inside of the Death Star there.
Is cool. Reflections 2 called Expanding the Galaxy?
Yeah, it's like the subtitle of it.
Oh.
Because
they included Shadows of the Empire stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Bosk with Mortar Gun. And it looks like they did like a scene out of like Tatooine here.
Oof.
This got an 8.5.
That surface though.
9, edge is 8.5, the surface 7.5. So that's where that got killed. Centering 9.5. But you know what? This one, I believe, I'm trying to think. I either bought this as a single or I think I bought this one as a single online. So can't be that upset about it. But that's really cool what they did with the background, keeping it in theme with Jabba's palace. All right, now we have R2 and 3PO. Oh, that's so cool. They used the inside of the Millennium Falcon in the slab label. That's so cool. And it's a 9.5. Oh,
99995. That is awesome. This is the highest grade HGA Star Wars CCG card there is now. It's got to be.
One?
I
Like
have
a 9.5
to look it
one?
up, but I don't think there is an HGA 9.5 for Star Wars CCG. I'll have to check. But that's super, super difficult to come across. So
Cool.
safe to say this could be a PSA 10 otherwise.
What is the
like
label?
this.
It looks like
I
a
love
circus or something.
Yeah, it's the inside of the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, that's cool.
It looks like, you know, the high like switches and stuff in the Falcon. That's so cool.
Oh, like the ones above their head? Like it'd be like
Yeah.
continuing the card? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking with the Rogue 3 too. It looks like if you moved up, you would see the mountains above Rogue 3.
Let's find Rogue 3 again.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I saw that too. It looked like it was like moving up if you moved up the card. Like if you continued on from where the top of Rogue 3 is, the mountains would all be up there.
I love it. I freaking love it. It's so cool. It's so sick looking. All right, we got Obi-Wan's lightsaber.
Oh, I like the art on that. That's cool. Except it's the wrong color.
It's an 8.5. So this is a very rare foil. So, oh yeah, true. I guess his is blue, but I guess they just kind of matched it with the rest of the green on the card. So that's funny. But it does look cool.
It does look cool. It does look really cool.
Yeah, I'm not upset about it, even though it is. You're right. It should be blue, but that's okay. I guess that's my fault for not telling them. It should be a blue lightsaber. Boba Fett in Slave 1.
Ugh.
An 8.
Surface.
That's weird. Yeah. Okay. Surface 7. So this was one of the cards Richie gave me to grade.
It's hard to tell,
but it is a foil. So
it's hard to tell from the label. What were they trying to do there? Like the colors of the ship, or
it looks like they just
or maybe the cockpit.
It looks like they just took the colors of like the foil itself. There is some design in the background, but I'm having a hard time making it out. Yeah, it is a strange rainbow. There was a choice. That was definitely a choice. I don't know. Weird. All right. Oh, Darth Maul.
That's
I like that.
But that's cool.
That's a hard card to grade. I don't know what it is about that card, but it is a hard card to find in good condition.
So this is a super rare foil. So
probably got played with a lot.
7.5. The corners being a 7.5 is kind of rough, considering this was pack fresh pulled. So we did a video where Richie pulled this, and then we just send it off to grading. So I think you're right, Mark. This was not not handled in between literally pulling it out of the pack and then sending it in. All right. And then I wanted to do another Supreme Chancellor Valorum because I loved the background of the other one. And this one's a 9. So this upgrades my 8. So I'm happy with that.
I do like the label.
Now my other Supreme Chancellor.
It's got all the chairs in the background.
Yeah, like
it seems like that's their theme. There's like a continuation of the card. It seems like.
I love it. Yeah, I'm actually very happy. That's going to go in my PC, but I'll be able to sell the 8 one. So overall, I mean, most of these grades are really good. We didn't get tanked on any of the grades. I mean, I'm sure Richie would have liked to have gotten better grades on those, but he did get one of the council chambers at 9. Overall, I think I'm trying to think of my favorite one. Let's see. R2 and 3PO. This is definitely a huge highlight.
I like the Valorum.
The Rogue 3. The Rogue 3 is definitely awesome, badass. Boss one's not bad, although I wish it were a slightly higher grade. I'm glad the IG-88 did well. I thought that was clever what they did with the pod racer. And then Prince Zizor. It's not a bad little city background, although it looks kind of more contemporary city than it does Star Wars city, I will say. But yeah, that's awesome. I I think a lot of these may just sit in my PC. I may sell one or two of these, but given they sell for like $5 online, it's hard for me to want to sell them. I do have some other non-Star Wars CCG stuff, which if you want me to, I can go through.
What are they?
Real quickly.
I'm interested to see what they are.
Chrome Galaxy. So I picked out some cards that I had extras of that I was like, well, let's just grade them and see if they look cool because like this is Shadows of the Empire, a gameplay card. So 9/5s all around. That's pretty neat. It's not really, they didn't really do much with it other than just shininess from the card. Yeah, so this was the cover art from the N64 game.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So these you did get custom labels on as well.
I got custom labels on everything, yeah.
Okay.
I figure if you're going to submit to HGA, it's almost like silly not to do a custom label. So like this is one of the most famous refractor cards from the last year's Galaxy set, Jedi Hirosawa. So that's pretty badass.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, that's a sick looking card. And it graded well. Right,
I'm guessing these modern cards, you're seeing the difference with the manufacturing compared to, well, whatever it was back in the day. But maybe that's just our small sample size so far. Oh, no.
I love you. This was from Chrome Galaxy last year. This is just a refractor. That's interesting. Nice. I wonder if they used the smoke from, like, I guess they're trying to emulate the smoke from Cloud City from the carbon freezing. Yeah, the carbon chamber. Interesting. Luke's ground assault. Oh, I didn't realize this should have been a horizontal one. Oh well, I'm an idiot. But that is kind of cool that they took the lightsaber and continued it. I feel kind of dumb for not submitting this as horizontal.
Does it cost more to submit horizontal? 10 there. Or is it the same price?
$5 more.
Okay.
Well, you saved $5 at least.
Well, I was thinking because those were extras, like this is concept art of Boba Fett's starship from this year's. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
So when you submitted these, did you inspect them or did you try to make sure that the ones you were sending were going to be like mint?
I sent in the ones that I figured they would, like all these modern cards generally grade well, period, unless they're poorly centered or like, the corners nicked. So I didn't really have to do as much of a strenuous like inspection process that you would for like Star Wars CCG. Because it really comes to so like this one should have been horizontal too. Kind of an idiot. But yeah, it looks like they did more of the stars in the background. That's kind of neat. I kind of wish it were a little more starry in the label, but overall pretty cool. All right, let's see the next one here. I did a bunch of just refractors, so they're not numbered cards. They're just ones I did because I thought they would look cool. Oh, that's neat. So they do like the top of the carbon freezing chamber there on that card. That's actually really cool. That's also a 9/5. So the interesting thing is like a lot of like at least top Star Wars card collectors, not a lot of them care about them being graded like through PSA or stuff like that. They more like the art. So in my mind, grading with HGA is like a great way of kind of finding a balance because it's less about the grade and more almost about the art of the label. So this was really cool.
Oh, that's a nice.
I like that a lot.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I might keep that card. I mean, I wish it graded a little better. Looks like edges and centering didn't do as well, but I'm not surprised because this year's quality control on Galaxy is not as good. Like, because they added borders to the card, they basically made it harder to grade higher. All right, let's look at the next one. This is the cover art from this year's Galaxy box. So this is the refractor card from that. So it looks like an extension of the card itself. That's clean. I wish it were graded a little higher, but I understand. Probably from the edges and centering, yeah. The quality control on this year's Galaxy was not as good. Next one here. Larger than life. That's kind of wild. Kind of a funky card. It's almost comic booky in a way. 9/5. All right, let's see. I got two more left. I should have done this vertical too. Oh well. Reflections on Endor. So it looks like they did like this Endor scene on it. That's kind of cool.
I like that.
Yeah, it's like done in the style of the car.
Is Yoda on there?
It looked like it.
You're in the car.
Oh, he's not back with the other two.
Yeah, he's up front. All right, last card. Teaching the younglings. Oh, so that's neat. They got the lightsabers coming up from the younglings while they're training. 9/5s all around. I mean, kind of curious to know what they would do on the artwork for those, because the cards themselves aren't worth a lot, but I feel like other Star Wars collectors, like in the at least the Topps world, would at least appreciate those, because I feel like they like the art more than the fact that they're slabbed. Like, there's plenty of people that like Star Wars cards but could care less whether they're slabbed, but when they're put in these like custom labels, I feel like it just adds more to the card itself. It actually makes it a piece of art. Overall, pretty happy with this return. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you would not expect to get any 10s, right? They're just too hard of grading on this stuff. But it's
the same with Beckett. I wouldn't really think I'd get any 10s from Beckett either.
Yeah, but the 9/5s are fantastic. I got tons of 9/5s and plenty of 9s across the board, and I was able to upgrade some PC cards I have. So you may see some of these listed on for sale, but they probably won't sell for much. So if people like the artwork on these or they want to trade for them, I'm happy to entertain some of those.
Fred, is a yay? What do you say, Kyle?
Let's close it up with it.
All right, sounds good. I'll try to do my best to have an audible YouTube open mouth thumbnail while I'm opening it for all those audio listeners.
I've actually sold quite a few since last time when you guys got yours.
Yeah?
Quite a few people have grabbed theirs.
Be Fred, this will be good. Didn't you open one last time, Kyle, that you had purchased? Pretty good condition and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, I did.
I was like, yes, and I sent all of those to PSA.
They are all there, adding to the Grader army.
I've been yelled at so many times by
Really, how about
for not using painter's tape.
Almost there. It wouldn't look as nice, though. Okay, there we go. Just with this clear pack, it definitely wouldn't look as good. So here we go on the front. Scum and Villainy. Does that card still see lots of gameplay even in virtual? B-Fred is the virtual version?
The Carbon Chamber testing and Court are still played.
Right. It's Tatooine, so that's got to be Reflections 3, right? The foil.
2.
Oh, it's 2? Oh, it's Jabba's Palace.
Yeah,
Sorry, I misread it. Or the symbol. Okay, yeah. It's a good card. Good condition. There we go. Scum and Villainy. There you go. It's got like ancient Jabba the Hutt looking things on the wall. Is that used in? It's like Alien decks, right? Is that the ones it's used in? Scum and Villainy, or am I thinking of Power of the Hutt or one of those cards?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Sorry, the cat's getting unruly.
All right. I always like the look of this card. Guest Quarters. It looks so peaceful. Like
it's a pretty looking card too.
City. Yeah. Bib for
Actually, I would love to probably grade one of those custom art wise.
Bib.
Cool. Bib. Yeah, buddy.
Okay, we got Commander Igar. So that's Reflections 2 also, I believe, right?
Yeah.
He's Endor set.
I'm surprised he
is
in the Endor set, but
Ooh, nice. Thank B-Fred getting the hits here. This is Independence. That is a Reflections 2 foil.
Oh, Independence
Star. Yeah, from the Death Star.
I'd say there's probably the least amount of Reflections 3 in the repack, but there is some. There's a lot of Reflections 2 and 1.
Mon Calamari Cruiser. Here we have. Ooh, I always like the look of this card. It is the future you see.
It is the future you see.
If only we could see the future.
Are there do people play through decks where they go through all the Jedi training?
No, not usually. Not usually, because they can't make helpers for it really. Because the Jedi
has that ever it takes too long, right?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
Blizzard
2.
I feel like it's a lot to invest in to if it doesn't work out.
Melas.
Who's that dude?
Melas. Is that a Reflections 2?
Yeah.
Is that from?
Also? Yeah.
He's
Special edition.
He's the one. Yeah. He's the one that got changed
Guy,
from the original to special edition.
Red 2.
Uh-oh, now Mark's on delay.
Got a lot of
I'm on delay now. Oh no, what's happened? Oh, this is Ref 3, I think. Gunite.
No, that one's 2.
Is it 2 also? Okay.
Yeah.
Just sounded like one of those.
Man, you might have got them in no Reflections 3 pack.
That's okay. It was a good pack. They all look in very good condition, so props to B-Fred. Maybe some of these will be slab faux show.
Oh,
Well, that was fun.
No reflections 3.
You should just take them all, submit them all blindly, and just see what happens.
Who needs to inspect them? Yeah, we'll just let the PSA gods.
Yeah, don't
decide
inspect
how
them. Just
victorious
take
we
a
are.
fresh, like, here's a B-Fred raw sample.
Then I can see how good my eye is.
Yeah.
As it.
I definitely saw a few that were off
I
center.
mean,
So
Yeah, the rough ones. I mean, that's just the way they come. What can you do?
but I am surprised how I feel like they're not as punishing on things like foil lines as you would think they would be.
Oh, I don't
Like,
understand how
Maybe
they.
for people looking at those, they'd be like, "Oh God, it's over," but they don't.
I mean, they
I'm
really
not
should
saying
give it
they
a
don't
qualifier, I
acknowledge
think.
it,
But
I just
yeah, it's kind of. I don't know.
I feel like they're
You just
not as
roll with
punishing
it.
on it as you would think they would be. Yeah.
Yeah, I just
It's a
try to
good
disclose it
little
on
map.
the auctions.
We'll have to pick this up in a few weeks, I guess, when everyone's up for it, and we can continue where we left off with Special Edition and onward, and then maybe any other returns or other repacks that anybody wants to bring up. Any other final closing thoughts on what we talked about or what you saw?
It's a blast. It's enjoyable as always.
I was gonna say, it seems like there's a direct correlation of cards getting graded based on how expensive the packs are to get. It seems like there's a lot more of the cards that are more plentiful to get graded, like the Clouds for Cloud City and Java's Palace and stuff. So I'd be interested to see what the more expensive sets look like as far as like the number of submissions.
Yeah, and I think for those that are selling cards, I think there's something to be said with what people are looking for, and maybe it's just a matter of like if it means the box doesn't sell and you need to sell the packs because they move. I don't know how else you get minty cards, but don't ask me to buy a minty card. Like, I'm just going to tell you,
Well,
I don't know. I'm
you
not
said
going to tell
you
you.
found that
It
loop.
might be, but
that
I'm not gonna
EPP
tell you
loop you
that.
got a 10 on was you said that was from your collection, right?
It was. So I'm happily surprised on that. But going through the rest of my stuff in that binder, there's no way most of that or any of that would get 10s. So who knows? Maybe it's just one of those things where everyone seems to be saying, like, maybe you get PSA on a lucky day, but the card does look good. So I don't know. Just got lucky, I guess. Don't stick your cards in 90s binders anymore. And certainly don't move to different climates over decades while they're stored in there.
This is the real thing, Greta Thunberg.
Because my entire master collection, I'm pretty sure my entire master set is surface effed up from being in binders for so long.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, this has been real. Let's close this out here. See you guys next time.